Hey, welcome to Fries and a Glass of Wine. I'm Mel, and this is the podcast where we sit down, share a plate of fries, pour a glass of wine, and just talk. Like, really talk. Every other week, I invite a friend, or sometimes a stranger, to join me for a casual, heart-led conversation about life, love, work, or whatever's on our minds. No scripts, no structure, just real conversations over fries and wine. So grab a glass, settle in, and let's see where this one goes. Today, I'm joined by my friend Ashley for a proper yap. I love this conversation, and we laughed through a lot of it. We touch on her relationship to her husband, Terry, and then her 3 kids, Terry, Trenton, and Reese. We also talk about stuff that single gals can relate to. So I hope that you can take away something great from this episode because it was just so much fun to record. And here we go. This is a French red from Côte d'Aron, Le Petit Renard, which is Little Wolf. This is me practicing my French. And yeah, because we might get taxed more on French wine. So let's soak it up while we can.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh,
that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. So I have so many questions for you and things that we need to catch up on.
Yes.
Starting off with the big thing, HYROX.
HYROX.
How was it?
Whew. So I committed to HYROX training starting in January. I'm not much of a runner, so that was the hardest part for me, and I knew it would be. I couldn't even run a full mile without stopping at first. I kept running, Terry would tell me, time on feet. And it was great until about 3 weeks before the race when we all got a stomach flu. Ugh. All of our kids were throwing up all over the house, literally.
Yeah.
And then the week after that, I got a cold. And so apparently my immune system was just troubled.
Yeah.
And so I could not run for like 2 weeks. Then we went on spring break for 4 days. So I was really nervous going into the race. Like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? But I at one point just told myself, Ashley, you're going to do this race. So you need to stop like negotiating with yourself as if you're not going to do it and get out there and make it happen. And so that's what I did. Thank God I have Terry, because when I tell you the day before the race, he had us in Normatec boots. He had us doing the machine.
Massage gun?
Yes, the massage gun, eating bananas and orange juice and all the nutrition. So nutrition and recovery were on lock. So I woke up on that Sunday feeling ready to go and got out there and did my best. We finished the race. We had a really good time.
Yay.
We didn't have a goal. It was really just to finish, but it felt good. But I'll tell you, even during the race, I had all the thoughts of like,
I hate this.
Yes. Like, why did I sign up for this? Look, HYROX's tagline is, this is your sport. And in my head, I thought, this is his sport.
Yeah.
It's not my sport. What am I doing here? Like, this is crazy. There was a woman who looked super fit on the floor, rolling around, holding her wrist. And it was awful. Obviously, she was injured. Said a quick prayer. God, I pray that she's okay. Amen. And then I literally thought I could just fall on the ground and hold my wrist and roll around. And then I could like swear for a moment. I was like, I could fake an injury and be out of this because I don't want to run anymore.
I love it. I love it. Is it the moment that he said burpees and you're like, absolutely not.
Well,
we're not doing this.
We weren't even to the burpees yet. It was the running. So you're running a kilometer in between each station, and there are 8 stations. The stations felt fun. Like the row, the sled push and pull, the ski erg, all that felt like a break from the running.
Yeah.
The running was hard. And so I was like, I just can't breathe. And so there's something wrong with my lungs, or I don't know. It's just like I cannot take a full breath without like a sharp pain underneath my chest.
Oh.
So we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
But all that to say, I'm doing it again in November in Dallas. So
okay.
That tells you that I liked it.
Okay. So great. I have follow-up questions on this, of course.
Yes.
My visuals that I requested for you to look at in Houston, because I've heard Dallas has better visuals, but like, how are the visuals in Houston? Not there? Okay, so I guess I'm coming to Dallas to support you, to cheer you on. Yes. Just like for the visuals that are there, but to support you and Terry, of course.
Yes. And it's also going to be Terry's 40th birthday.
Okay, so like this has to be a thing, Like,
that's really why you're going to come. Right?
Yeah, I'll bring the cake. I'll bring a sign.
There you go.
And then if I have a wandering eye, my eye just happens to wander,
I would understand that. Mm-hmm. It was a very different situation in Dallas.
Okay.
Interesting. I don't know why. What is that supposed to mean? Houston versus Dallas. Like, what is that?
I actually saw like this. There was a TikTok and this girl was like walking around an event and she's like going up to all like the hot men And I'm like, why are there so many options?
Yeah.
And I'm like, in Houston, I'm like, I don't see anything ever.
Mm-mm.
And I'm like, why?
Yeah, I don't know what that's
Why
about,
is that? I'm like, I like getting dressed up and going out and like seeing other people like get dressed up and going out too. And I'm like, I like being around, I call it cute people, but like people who are putting in effort to just like feel good and whatnot. And then I'm just like, I never see this anymore.
In Houston, we don't do as much of that.
Yeah, because it's so humid. So like maybe we're just in sweats all the time, but still you can
try.
You can look cute. Yeah, I just
come to Dallas.
Yeah, I'll be there in Dallas. I've never been, so I'll go. I'll check it out. Imagine I move because of it.
Oh, that would be kind of sad, actually. But
yeah,
okay.
I don't think I hate the Cowboys so much. Like that is like it's a weird. I think most people who hate the Cowboys have this thing too. They're like, oh, I hate Dallas. I've never been, but I hate them because of the Cowboys. And it's not if you're not in like the sports world or a fan, you're like, this is the most irrational thing.
Right.
But then you see a Cowboys fan, you're like, that's the most irrational thing. So yeah, I'm excited for you. So that's why you continued running after HYROX, because I saw you did that.
Yeah. So we took a week off per my coach's guidance. And then I got back to it this week. And I ran yesterday. I didn't want to. I'm still not at the place where I want to run. I asked Terry yesterday, I was like, do you ever not want to run? And he was like, of course. I was like, is that most of the time? And he said, no, probably not.
Oh.
But most of the time I don't feel like doing this. And I try to like get out of it.
Yeah.
And then I can't. So I'm committed to it.
I think I'm in that boat with you. I like being active.
Yeah.
But like running, I also like ran track in high school. And were you a sprinter?
Yes.
Okay, I think this is it.
Someone told me this. They were like, there was an Olympian who said it was one of our hosts at the league, Amanda Lucio. She was like, there was an Olympian being interviewed. And she said, I can't imagine running long distance. She's a sprinter. She's like, I don't know how people could do it. And then she was like, so maybe because you were a sprinter in high school, your brain and your body is wired around short, fast distances. And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
Because even when I would start running, I'm running fast because I also want to get it over with. But then I'm affecting my pace, and there's a whole zone 2 thing. You're supposed to be able to talk while you run. I cannot talk while I'm running.
Yeah.
People will be like, let's go. We can like run and catch up on life. I'm like, I will not be able to talk to you. I will be trying to breathe. And so I'm still figuring that piece out.
Yeah. Yeah. That like resonates so much with me because that's a Terry saying.
Yeah.
Talk to him too much.
Right.
That resonates with me because when I would go to Barry's in Toronto on the treadmill, I'm 5'2". So like my legs, when they're running, they're moving pretty fast.
Yes.
And a few of the instructors, they'd be like, one of them who I went to all the time, he's like, you look like Stewie on a treadmill.
Wow.
And I was just like, I love that. Is hilarious. I love that. So I was just like, oh, I like my legs just like move really fast. And another one was like, no, you run really fast. And I was like, I do. I feel I'm keeping pace with everyone else. He's like, no, you like are sprinting on all of your things. And I was like, interesting. But those are short bursts.
And you ran in high school.
I ran in high school. So I was just like, that makes sense. Yep. So yeah. But I'm like, is it the type A personality that makes us be like, let's do this. Let's get this over with. Let's move on to the next thing.
The faster I run, the faster this will be over with, and I can get to the next thing on my to-do list.
Yeah. And
that's not how we...
No. So maybe we should be doing this more to like break us out of our type A ways.
Yes. Also, I'm going to get a run coach.
Okay. Not your husband.
Not my husband. It doesn't work.
Because your HYROX coach is not Terry either.
Well,
yes.
We go to a track practice. BC Fit is the gym, and I cannot think of the coach's name right now, but it's on Sundays. It's free. It's really awesome. So that's helped us a lot with HYROX. We also do HYROX, training camp at the league, and we have HYROX pack classes at the league. But that same guy, cannot think of his name right now, is who offers like a 3-month run coaching program. And he kind of just sets you up on like, here's what you need to work on, go for it. And so I think I need that to get some more guidance because I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Because if I could cut down my run time, it would make a big difference.
Yeah.
Even just like, again, being able to breathe, because basically in HYROX, you're running, right? You're running the laps, and then you're coming into, you can call it like, it's called the in arch to go do one of the drills. And so that's called the rock zone. and I'm walking, right? Because I'm trying to catch my breath. I'm walking to the different drills. If I could like continue to run all the way up to it and keep going, that would cut down a lot of time too. So,
yeah. Okay, and you guys are doing it as pairs?
No, only this Houston race was a pair because his actual favorite partner couldn't do it. He was in like Oklahoma for some other race. And so I was like, can I be your partner? And he said yes.
He reluctantly said yes? Or
I don't know because he won't, he's going to make it like, of course I want to be.
Yeah, like, I love you so much. Yes. In his head, he's like, damn it, my numbers are going to be
so
off.
Low, right? It's like, no, I'm doing this for you. Because I was telling him, like, what's our ideal time? And again, type A. Mm-hmm. But he didn't even have a time. I don't even know with his partner for their last race. I think they were just trying to like do their best. I'm like, what is our goal time? Like, what are we working toward? You
guys balance each other out so well.
Like, how can you not have a like actual? And hey, maybe they did, because I know he's going to listen to this and be like, well, I don't know. Maybe they did. But like, when I asked him about our time, he's like, our goal is just to finish. I'm like, okay. So anyway, we're not doing it together in November. I don't know who I'll partner with. I don't want to like blast it to the world that I'm looking for a partner, because I don't want to have to like say no to people and it feel awkward. Or I don't want it to be like, oh, I don't want to do it, but I feel pressure. So I have a few people in mind, so we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, I will not be volunteering for that.
Hey.
Because there's burpees.
So you did mention the burpees. That is one of the stations, and it's in the middle, and it's the hardest. So of all the stations, that one I did not look forward to. It did not feel like a break. And it's also because, burpees, you're going down and up, and that motion is a lot. When you've been running and you're fatigued, I got dizzy, I got lightheaded, I got nauseous even. But Terry told me, he was like, he wasn't calling me mental, but he was like, I think what's happening is this. Your brain is trying to stop you because it feels like you're in danger. It's trying to protect you because you're exerting more energy than you normally do in like a workout. And so your hamstrings will get tight. You'll start to feel nauseated or lightheaded. And these are things that like maybe are happening physically, but more so your brain is just like firing off like stop.
Yeah.
So you have to push past that mental, even in a run, even in my regular runs, when you feel like I can't go another step. You really can. It's just your brain is telling you to stop when you don't really have to stop.
Yeah. I'm like, I will run. I want to be able to run in case of emergencies.
Yes. But
like, I think I'm in that phase of my fitness journey because I've been active my entire life. Yeah. I swam at a very early age and like I would say competitive, but I'm like a 7-year-old competitive is not really that competitive. But like, I swam for my school in Jamaica.
That's
and
legit.
I was just like, this is just a way to get out of school. Like that's how my brain works.
Right. And
then I danced like since I was 4 until I was 20. I injured myself.
Wow.
So like 21 or 22. Yeah. And then I played tennis too. And like I'd go to tennis camps for it. So I was like, I've always been like high energy. And then like coming out of that, I would go to spin or I'd go to the league. Or then when I was in Toronto, I would do this place. They never called themselves CrossFit, but it's a variation of it. And someone's like, this is more intense than CrossFit. I'm like, oh. Yeah. And like when I look back at the photos from that time, I'm like, yeah, my body looked a little like CrossFit. And now I'm like, and then I did berries. Now I'm in a phase where I'm just like, I don't want to put my body through like those spikes in cortisol, really. Like I'm wanting, I think as a whole, ease.
Yeah.
And so it's Pilates now. And like I stopped going to berries because I have to work out in the morning and that spikes your cortisol. And then I'll like do a long walk. Like I walked to downtown the other day, which is like 6 miles.
Wow.
And like back.
Very long walk.
Because I just need to clear my head and just like get out. Yeah. And that's like my cardio and like getting my steps in. But I'm just, the thought about grunting again, I'm like, no, absolutely not. Yeah. But it's just a phase. Yeah. We'll see how long it lasts.
I think it's so important to know what season of life you're in and what you need for the, for that season. I think a lot of what motivates me is like, and maybe I've just trained my Instagram algorithm to feed me this, but like brittle bones when you get older, like how strength training is great for that, and how a mix of strength training and high intensity interval training is really good. So I guess what I'm saying is I like to move my body because of it helps my mental health too. Like if I go too long without working out, I'll just start to kind of have like a fog and just be kind of like blah. And that was like most acute after having babies. I remember being on with my therapist. I'm just like, I don't know. Like, there's like a cloud over me. And she's like, you haven't worked out in a long time. And before Reese, that was a regular part of what you were telling me you were doing. And I was like, well, yeah, I'm just like, she's like, you've been like, gonna get back to it for a long time. You know how you meet your therapist sometimes it's just like put the mirror in front of your face. I'm like, you're right. I went to a workout and I mean, it was like immediately
night and day.
And I remember doing a whole video sitting in the middle of the turf. Like that was all I needed was just to move my body. So I do it for that. But then I also think about like my parents are such involved grandparents and are so active with our kids and not even just with having them, but running around, throwing them around, jumping around,
And you want to be able to do that.
And so, and they have been very active. They eat pretty clean, and they're on no medication at like 75 and 69. I'm like, that's my goal. It's for my future self. So
to stay active. Well, definitely want to stay active. And then someone told me that like after 30, your muscle, you have like muscle loss.
Yes.
I did not know about that. And I was like, this doesn't cross my mind because like I'm always going to be active. It's just like the intensity is going to vary.
Right.
But when she told me that, I was just like, that's so interesting. Like people, like you lose muscle and strength. And like if you want, as we're having kids later in life, you want the grandparents to be able to keep up and play. And like if I ever have kids, like I'm going to be an older mom. Like I want to be able to keep up and play, except from the burpees. I don't know. I'm so traumatized by that.
I understand.
Yeah. You and I always like talk about that.
Today there were burpees in the workout earlier today. And I literally didn't even do it. I just did a step back, down, like push up and then step up. It was burpee to like jump on the plate. Burpee, jump on the plate. It's supposed to be like a burpee broad jump, like for HYROX.
Yeah.
We have HYROX packed on Thursdays. Girl.
Do you remember your shirt at the league that says like, when in doubt, do a burpee?
When life knocks you down, do a burpee, something like that.
Yeah. And Terry made me do the graphic for it. And I know he didn't make me, like he asked me. Yeah. And I just know that he was like laughing behind like the computer or the phone when he was sending me that. I know.
Yep. She'll do it.
Yeah. She's just like hating this. And then he gifted me that shirt.
You're like, is this are you serious?
I was like, of all the shirts, this is the one you gift me? I'm like, I don't want this.
It's a lot. Your body's doing a lot. It's not supposed to do all that.
So I would be a terrible partner because the minute a moment came where we had to do that, I'm like, we're not doing this. We're moving on. I say no.
Right. We're going to just skip this and get the penalty for whatever that is and then keep going.
I will enable you in the wrong ways. I will be your partner in crime.
Right.
That's what I would be.
There you go.
Not your partner in like support. Okay. No, like, we're not doing this. We're moving on. But how are the little ones?
Oh, they are wonderful. I just love them so much. So Terry is 8, Trenton is 6, and Reese is 3, going on 4, going on 14.
Yeah.
Yesterday, she hit me. We were trying to get in the car, and she was like putting her foot down like the sewer. Anyway, like the sewer thing, trying to kick some trash in there. So I was like, don't put your foot on that. And I put her in the car and she hits me. No. And I say, Reese, when we get home, you're going to have to go to timeout. And she said, princesses don't go to timeout.
I mean, technically they do. They get locked in a tower.
Right? Exactly. I said, wow. I said, well, Reese is going to go into timeout because she hit mommy. Then when we get home, I put her in a chair for timeout. And she says, you're breaking my heart. And then she burst into tears. Where did she learn breaking my heart? And then I was like, because I was so shocked. I said, well, that breaks my heart that I'm breaking your heart. But you cannot hit mommy. Yeah. And just get away with it. Yeah. She's like, I can't eat in timeout. I can't watch TV in timeout. I can't play with my doll in timeout. She's acting like it was like torture chamber or something.
At least she's aware of like what timeout means and like all of that. Like
apparently.
She's
a lot. Like I just wasn't ready for this at 3 because I also had 2 children before this and it wasn't this at this level.
And they were boys, and so like they worship the ground you walk on.
They were just also jumping off of things and rolling around. That was their way of expression. Hers is very different. And so anyway, they're so much fun. I love them. Oh my God. They keep us on our toes.
And I can just see her just like smiling, like, no, and trying to get out of it. Does she get away with more with Terry or you?
Terry.
And which boy gets away with more with you?
Probably Trenton.
Okay.
But it's also because Trenton is a very easy child. So like if he does something, it's like easier to be like, it's fine.
He's an old soul.
He's an old soul.
I love that for him.
It's so funny. I was in Arizona last weekend celebrating my friend's 40th birthday. It was amazing. And I got gifts for them in the gift shops. We have a pet scorpion, and the little lollipops had a scorpion inside, like a dead scorpion. I thought that could be fun.
Like a candy scorpion or a real one?
It's like candy, but there's like a real scorpion inside. Okay. It's like, I guess, been dried.
I've eaten scorpion.
Okay, and that guy was like, is this a thing? Like, I asked the lady at the front, and she's like, yeah, it's fine. I was like, is it okay if they actually eat it? And she's like, yeah. It's like, it's kind of crunchy, whatever. Bring it home. Terry and Reese have a lot of the same energy, same personality. They're extroverts. They're ready to party. Let's go. They were like, oh my gosh, and immediately are trying to get to this scorpion.
Yeah.
Trenton was like, is there any blood in this? Are there stingers in it? He asked about 9 legit questions and then ultimately was like, Mommy, can you please never get this for me again? Almost like, I will never get that for you. He made me pound it, like break it up. He was trying to break it up to get the scorpion out. This whole thing.
Oh, so yeah, God.
Trenton is kind of like, I don't really do the games and I'm not really a child. I'm actually like 37,
Yeah.
And it's fine. I was like, what? That's fair. I will never, ever get you anything like this again. He's like,
yeah. Do you believe in souls ages? Like you just said, like Trenton's 37. And I had this conversation with someone, in my an old job, and we were talking about someone. She's like, no, his soul's 18. That explains a lot. He might be like 30, 39, but his soul's 18. And then she's like, your soul's 32. And I think I was like 31 at the time. And I was like, 32 feels right. She's like, you're not older and you're not younger. You're 32. And I was like, I've always been told I'm more mature. And I'm like, 32 I like.
Interesting.
It's like, do you feel that?
I've never thought about actually putting a number to it.
Yeah.
But that can kind of make sense.
When like someone has young energy, but they just never outgrow it. You're like, your soul is this age.
I could see that. I had never even thought about that question before.
It's interesting. I was on an app the other day, a dating app, which is in a world that you have not had to explore.
No.
And I don't like them. I really don't. I've stopped using them for a while. And it just does not work for me. So I went on it to refer a friend, and I just paid for 1 month. So I'm like, let me just like entertain myself. Yeah. I don't do well via text if I don't know you. Oh. Like you and I voice note. Yeah. And our voice notes, like you hear like the intonation, like we also know each other. So you know exactly how I'm saying this. Mm-hmm. If I don't know you, you're going to be like, she is
very direct,
very so rude. Some of my friends that I've known for over 10 years, or like maybe close to 20 years, they're like, sometimes I think you're mad at me when you text because you use proper punctuation. And I'm like, no, that's autocorrect.
Right.
Like I don't know what.
I just want you to know when the sentences break up.
Yeah. And I'll be like very dry. I'm like, just, this is how I'm saying it. They're like, oh, okay. So like, I don't love texting people I don't know.
That makes sense.
But I'm looking on the app and I'm like, ew, this guy, this is where my mind is weird. This guy's 36. He's so old. I'm like, Melanie, you're 34. It's 2 years. It's not that old.
Like we are in the same decade.
Yeah, we are within the same age range. Like this isn't old. I was like, no. Or there's someone else like who's 37 that I had met, and I was just like, oh, like maybe. But I'm like, oh, he's 40 in 3 years, and I'm like, that did like a whole mind trick to me, and I was like, whoa, I'm 34. Right. But. And that's weird.
It's weird because I feel you on that. It's almost like I feel like I'm still in my 20s. I know that sounds funny, but like...
No, like maybe your soul's age is in the 20s.
You know, like my friends joke about how I'll take risks and I'll like, I don't know. I'm just like, it's fine. We can do it. Like we can completely reinvent ourselves right now. It's fine. And they're like, we should be like slowing down. I'm like, should we?
No.
Will I ever? Like even in retirement, I don't know that I'm going to like just not work. I'm going to not have to work for money, but I will be working on projects that light me up forever, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I feel what you mean by like, wow, I really am like 3 years from 40.
You're like,
and like, I remember my aunt having a over the hill party. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
I remember this. My aunt Renee had an over the hill party, and it's like, because 40 is the hill, like the top of the hill, because then you're going down, because now I guess that, you know, life expectancy 80. I'm like, I feel like she was much older than I am right now. Like, I'm in the same age as her, but what? I'm like, okay, this is happening, but I don't mind aging. You know, I don't mind. It's like, to me, I know this is maybe a very logical answer, but it's like the opposite of aging is dying, and that's very morbid. But like, literally, if we don't continue to live, it's death.
Yeah.
So like, we know this is going to happen. We know we're going to age. And I think I just try my best to like fight the effects of aging. Like, my body hurts, and, you know, my skin, I'm not the best with that beauty stuff. Like, my friend
skin is great.
My friend had to tell me, like, probably 4 years ago, she was like, actually, you need a facial care routine. It was actually Jordan Sparks. Not to name drop. That sounds so lame.
Can we go back to what my goal is?
Right.
I want her singing at my wedding.
I know. I'm working on it. Well, we're working on it.
Yeah.
The apps, everything.
Yeah.
Right? But no, my friend Brandy is the one who told me that I needed an actual face. And then we were hanging with her, and her skin is just beautiful. Anyway, my point is like, I'm trying to do what I can to maybe fight the effects of aging, but like, bring on the wisdom, bring on I'm even getting gray hairs, and I'm like, it's fine. I don't think I'm gonna dye them. Yeah, like, it's fine. Although my kids are like, why is your hair turning white like Nona's? Are you old? Are you gonna be a grandma? And I'm like, well, I can't be a grandma until one of you have a child.
That's not how this works.
And they're like, but your hair is white.
You're like, thank you.
Thanks, children.
Yeah.
But
this is because of you.
Right.
Yeah.
You're stressing me out, you know? But yeah, I don't mind it.
Kids are hilarious. I love watching the videos of your kids. And then like seeing Reese. I've seen Trenton, all three of them grow up, because when I met Terry, when I met you guys, like Terry was a baby.
Yes.
And like watching them grow up and like seeing Terry now, or little Terry, I'm just like, he's getting into teenager phase, because like he gets sassy sometimes, right?
Oh yes, very sassy.
Yeah. Then you have Trenton, who like smooths it out.
And then we have Reese, who brings back the Terry energy, which is a little bit terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh no.
Like, this is a lot of energy.
And it's so beautiful. And even I've had to even like tell teachers, like, I don't want to quench their spirit. Like, like Terry is a very spirited kid, and he is going to, I tell him all the time, you're going to change the world. This is a conversation recently. What is that? Like, what do you mean change the world? Like, for good, you're going to do good things. Well, I don't know. Anyway, my point is like, he's going to change the world. And he is just like the kid that when I go to their events at school, all the kids are swarming him, right? The teacher's like, he's a leader, and that's great when he chooses to do the right thing, right? But if he decides like, hey, well, let's have a dance party, like let's time to have a dance party in the middle of class, and just like, no, Terry, and he's like, dance party, you know, like all kids are like, Dad, we're having a dance party, and they're like, no. So he is such a leader, but we have to just kind of hone that. And so I think it's really hard as a parent, when your kid does certain things that aren't great, you start to go down this path of like, oh my God, he's going to end up, you know, like he's good. Yeah. And you have to really reel that in and be like, no, these same qualities exist in people I know right now who are successful. Yeah. Whatever. But yeah, he is spirited. I don't want to quench it. I want to keep that spirit as long as I can, but I do need him to understand how to hone it. And then Reese comes behind him and is the same way. And so I'm like, we have to really buckle up. Like, I'm going to need caffeine. I'm going to need reinforcements. I'm going to need to be more even on it with the teachers at the beginning of the school year, with planning stuff out and like explaining like where he's coming from as a parent, which is hard because you're also like trying to like live, like make it, survive, also work, also everything. Yeah, right?
You have your own stuff going through. Yes. That is a lot. And then like trying to like as young men,
yes,
like trying to make sure that they're part of that generation of like good men too. Like I don't want to say that there's an attack on men right now, but there's a spotlight on them. And there was a really great podcast that came out, I think in like 2023 or episode on the Diary of a CEO.
Okay.
And they removed it. I don't know why. But it was Scott Galloway and was on it, and he was talking about like, I know you're not thinking about this for your 8-year-old and your 7-year-old, but it's like why men aren't having sex anymore. And it goes into like the whole like from childhood, like men or girls and boys are kept at the same level, and then you have like the growth spurt in girls and the growth like or spurt in like thinking and like maturity, and then it's not the same for boys, and then they're being held at the same level when they go to apply for schools. And so girls are like thriving in like secondary education or post-secondary education, and boys are struggling, and then you create this like divide or in education between the two. And then women, the way that we in heterosexual relationships like marry is like we marry up, and then men will marry equal or down. So then that gap is like becoming wider. And so you're having so many more educated women and uneducated men, and then men are getting really frustrated because they're alone and they're not having sex. And so it's like then turning into like these acts of aggression that we see in society. And like, it was such a good episode. I was trying to find it the other day. I was really upset that they removed it. But then the spotlight on it has like become even brighter. And then you have like this week, and before I get into that, like I've had conversations with men since moving down here, which I was like, I was never asked this question in Canada, but immediately 2 men have been asked me, would you date someone who makes less than you? And I'm like, why is this a conversation? Like I know you, but I'm not close with you. Why is this a conversation? And my answer to this, because I identify as mixed, but in America, one drop rule, I'm Black. And only Black, but I'm trying to push for the Asian side too. But as a Black woman, we are paid so much less and held back so much more. If you are not making more than me, what are you doing wrong in life, right? Granted, if say you were working for a nonprofit and you're doing really great work, like that's different. But like in my head, it's like more of a growth mindset. Do you have a growth mindset or not?
That part.
It's not necessarily the dollars, but like, do you have a growth mindset? But also just like dwindle it down to like money. I'm like, also like society's against me. Why aren't you doing better? We can talk about that. Like, what are the circumstances that you're facing and all of that. But like, why is that a thing? And then I get other questions, or I've heard conversations being like, well, I expect my wife to do X, Y, and Z if I'm doing this. And I'm like, wait, why do we have this very traditional view of relationships? And I'm like, this is so interesting. But then you have Benny Blanco, who, you know, worships the ground that Selena Gomez walks on. And then their joint interview with Jay Shetty this week. And I feel like you're going to be like, I didn't realize this was happening. And not to say that you're blind to this, but like you and Terry are like, in my head, up there in like relationships that you look upon. You're like, hey, that's like a benchmark for mine. Like I have some other friends like that too. Like that's a benchmark. Like how I see them interact with each other and raise kids together. I'm like, that's a benchmark. But the interview with Jay Shetty and Benny Blanco and Selena Gomez, he is like the healthiest man out there. I swear he's just like, no, like I know that if I'm working late, she just wants a text from me saying like, hey, I'm going to be out late. I love you. I'll chat with you in the morning. Just like a quick check-in. It's not much. Or, you know, I wake up in the morning thinking about how I can make her day better. And I know she wakes up in the morning thinking about how I can make his day better. And all the comments are like, who raised him? And so like, I know you're thinking about like, how do I keep these kids alive right now? Like that's another thing that you have to think about too. Like they're the next generation. Did I just like add weight to your shoulders?
No, you're right. And we have those conversations, you know, I'll tell them sometimes. We always have these conversations at night before bed. I don't know what that's about, but I think it's them trying to extend their bedtime. Like they don't want to go to sleep. So they start asking me these very deep questions. But one night, Terry, we pray at night and he was like, can you pray for my wife? You know? And I was like, oh. And it kind of came out.
He's 8?
He's 8.
Okay.
Can you pray for my wife, like my future wife? I was like, yeah. Is there anything in particular you want me to pray about? I can't remember what he said, but it was something like kind of, random, but he's like, yeah, okay. So we talk a lot about like what that means and what that looks like. And yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And, I guess my goal right now for them is for them to feel loved, feel like they're absolutely loved no matter what. A, and B, to tell me and to know that they can tell me anything. And so I say that all the time. Like if, hey, what happened at school? I can tell like something happened. You can tell mommy anything. And also if you don't want to tell me right now and you want to save it for later, that's fine too. Yeah. Like, because I want 10 years from now when they're in high school, them to feel like I'm not going to forget. Or they'll even be like, Mom, I know you're going to get mad, and I'm like, when do I get mad? And they laugh because I don't blow up. I don't get mad. But really what it is they're saying is, I know you're going to say no, but they're going to ask me to have like candy right now at 8:00 at night or something. No, I'm not mad. The answer is no, right? So I guess those are my two goals right now, but it does feel like a lot. And I don't know, I have so many thoughts around the whole, like who's making more. I know when Terry and I met in college and I went from there to New York and I was working on Wall Street. So obviously my pay was a lot more than his. We weren't actually even together because he broke up with me before Terry and devastated. He broke my heart. Like
that's where she got it from.
It's deep. It's deep. Generational. It's generational. See, you broke my heart. So we weren't even together initially, but even when I moved back, we made different money, and for me, it just depends on, like you said, the context. Do you have a growth mindset? Are you ambitious? You might right now be maybe working for yourself and you don't make as much, but you have goals and like that's fine. But yeah, and all that you said about Benny, it just reminds me of Terry. And like I thank God for him every day. I prayed for my husband as a 15-year-old. I found my old journal the other day. I had this journal that I had from like 12 to like, I don't know, 2008. So like, I don't know, I was probably 20 something. And I wrote almost every day in it. And there was one, I was probably 15 and it said, my man at the top. And there was like a list of things.
That was like in like the prime, like R&B days too.
Yes.
My man.
My man. Yeah. And it was all these things. And one of them was, I want him to be taller than me when I'm in my tallest heels. Because I loved wearing heels. Yeah. And I kind of still do. And Terry is not. He was not that. But my point is that I was thoughtful about it and I prayed for him. And this guy, it almost feels like not okay how good he is to me. Like, I'm like, Terry, like, you do so much. Like, what can I do? And he just kind of goes over and above. But I think that's what I'm trying to instill in our boys and trying to model for them too, right? Then see us dancing in the kitchen and then see us have an argument in front of them when we're not happy, but also repair in front of them. Hey, when I said that, I shouldn't have used that tone. I shouldn't have said it like that. I'm sorry. Do you forgive me? Like, I think that's so, so important. And so it's a lot. Yeah. Parenting.
Which is why we have wine.
It's why we have wine.
And for those who don't drink non-alcoholic wine.
Right.
Yes. Or just
quiet
like
time. That's why we have, thankfully, our grandparents. They help a lot.
Yeah.
Whatever your village looks like.
Yeah. My other couple friends that I also have on like that benchmark list, it's my best friend from university or college and her husband, who he and I actually grew up near each other and have a lot of like mutual friends, but we never met. When I met him, I like love him immediately. And so they got engaged. They lived out in Europe for a little bit. Oh. And he told me when he was going to propose. And he sent me the ring and everything. And I'm like, I'm so excited for you guys. And then they did it. And then they moved back to Canada. And so they wanted me to marry them. And I was like, this is the greatest honor. Like, just asking me. Then we looked into it. Like, it's very hard for someone to marry in like Canada, in Ontario too. So we're like, okay, never mind.
Just kidding.
Yeah. But when they got pregnant, he was like, I can't put my body through this. He's like, I can't breastfeed. He's like, I'm doing every diaper change. And he woke up for every diaper change. I'm sure like there's like one or two that he might have missed. Yeah. But he's like, no, like she's doing all of this. Like her body's going through so much. Like I am going to do my part. And I was just like, who are you? Right. And so whenever people ask me now, I'm like, well, Eric, that's a kudos to you. Eric is my benchmark. Like he said that. I'm like, unless I have a partner who is like that, we're not bringing one into this world.
That is so powerful because, yes, I think sometimes, and I mean, I met Terry when I was 19. He was my first boyfriend. He's my only boyfriend I've ever had. So I don't have a lot of experience. So that said, I think,
and that's your benchmark. Like you can't. No.
Right. He took me to Paris for my first Valentine's Day. Like, so I feel like people will kind of eye roll with, like, I don't know that I could really give a lot of good dating advice, except for the fact that I waited because I'd heard a standard is not something you strive to live up to. It's something you refuse to live beneath. So my standard, my man, outside of the height thing, was like something that I was like, look, so in high school when all these boys were like, I would just think like, is this something that someone that I could maybe marry? Like, of course I'm not getting married at 17, but like, if it's like, there's no future for us at all. Why am I wasting my time, energy, gas money? Like this is like, why would I do that for like 6 months? Like for like, it just didn't compete.
That would be a situationship in this day and age.
I was like, no. So outside of waiting, that's like the best dating advice I could give. But all that to say, like I hear women and they have like, and even men that have like these things on their list that are like, I can kind of see why that's important. And I'm not going to judge your values or whatever, but like, it's like, how will you show up as a dad? How will you show up when my nipples are burning and I'm breastfeeding and this is important to me, but I'm done. I'm saying I don't want to do it anymore. How will you show up to me, whenever like one of my parents dies or, like right in these moments, things that you just don't think about that are so much more important, more important than kind of some of the more like shallow or like, does that really matter to you? Yeah. In the long run. But yes, Terry was the same way. He would wake up and do every diaper change. I mean, every time for all three. And he would do it to give me a second to get my life together. Like to realize like, okay, the baby's up again. I'm about to have to go breastfeed again. But he would get up. I would hear him going in there, calming the baby, changing the diaper. And I would go in there and he would lay at my feet. I have so many pictures where he's laying at my feet in the room. And then I'd put the baby back down and we'd go out together and we would do that. For all three kids. And he'd be waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym and coach and would still do that all night.
I love that. I do definitely want to like commend my dad too. And my mom and my dad, because my mom she had my sister, she was pregnant with my sister when she was doing her MBA.
Oh wow.
So my dad really had to step up. And so we lived in Jamaica at the time, and
my younger sister.
Yeah, okay. She's a younger sister. She's 3 years younger, and my mom was studying and like trying to, do all of that. But my dad would on weekends, because he worked in the travel industry. He owned his own travel agency in Jamaica, and he used to work for the airlines. Like he would fly us over to Orlando on the weekends, which is like an hour-long flight from Jamaica. Wow. He'd pay like industry rate. And then my godfather's parents worked for Disney World. So at that time, Disney people would get tickets for free or can scan in people. And so I grew up going to Disney World like on weekends, like randomly, because my mom needed to study. And like, if you think about like traveling with kids right now, you're like, how do you do it? And I looked at my dad the other day. I'm like, how did you do it? He was like, well, you guys were both good travelers. I'm like, okay, well, great. Right. But he's like, I had the umbrella stroller. I don't know if, like, they literally look like an umbrella that just like pop out. Yes. He's like, I'd have, you in the umbrella stroller, your sister in my arm, and then we just do it. And I was like, how did you do this?
And that you wanted to, that you chose to.
So that my mom could study.
I can't. I don't want to. It's too much. I have to work. I have other stuff to do. But you chose to give your wife a break.
Yeah. So I'm like, that is also my benchmark too.
More like I said, the whole standard thing is what kept me. And I've seen it happen where you are too laid back and then you get married. And then like these kind of big things that kind of did matter to you that you maybe just like brushed under the rug now become an issue, right?
Yeah.
And, even I talk to married friends all the time. They're like, this isn't the kind of thing that you talk about in premarital counseling. Like I have one friend who there was a whole situation about like family members. I'll just say that. Like, how are we helping our family our external family, one of them feels like it's just us, me, you, and the kids. That's what we're focused on, and the other partner is like, well, if my mom or my cousin or my nephew needs help, money, or like stay with us or like whatever, that's important too. And like, you just don't know to talk about that. You don't know to mention that. And it's tricky. It's like a pastor once said, when you say I do, you're saying I do to so many things that you don't even know.
Yeah.
That you're saying yes to, right? You're accepting this person. I didn't know when I said I do that Terry would go through like a mental, like deep depression in 2020. I didn't know what he exactly looked like as a business owner.
Yeah.
I didn't know that we was going to business together. I didn't know what he would look like as a father exactly, And so you're saying I do to like every version of this person out in the future that I don't even know exactly what it looks like. But I think it's why it's so important at a core level. You respect the person and that you have consistent, like, values are aligned and that you're willing to do the work to continue to say I do and yes over and over again.
Yeah, the respect thing is such a huge thing. And I think about, like, yes, we always say, like, respect is needed.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I'm very, like, I'm not nonchalant. There's not a lot of stuff that, like, get under my skin. But the minute you disrespect me, you see another side of me. And people are always like, they'll know, I won't say anything. They'll see the shift in me because it's not my responsibility for you to grow.
Yeah.
Like, that's on you. But I will just be like, you're no longer a safe person to me. Walls go up. You don't get access to the other side of me. But if there's that respect and like we hit like a point, like, yes, I'll work through this with you, or like, let's just hash it out. Like, and I don't think people think about that.
Right.
Like the respect, like they're like, yeah, I was respectful. I said, please, thank you. Like the basics.
Yeah.
Or they're like, I did everything on this list, but I'm like, just because you did everything on this list of like being a good friend or a good partner, like doesn't mean that you were being respectful. Could have been like your loophole around something really disrespectful. Oh man, this went real deep. I love that.
That's so true.
That's why I love conversations over fries and wine.
Yeah, I know, right? I keep thinking of just, again, married people who are in a hard spot with exactly what you're talking about. And so keep your standards.
Yeah. And make sure that there's respect at its core. Oh man, I love that. Thank you, Ashley, for being on Fries and a Glass of Wine. I loved our conversation. And yeah, let's dig into these fries. Thanks so much for sharing some fries and a glass of wine with me today. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and subscribe on YouTube so you'll know exactly when the next episode drops. Until then, take care, stay curious, and keep the good conversations flowing. Cheers.